New photos from the night of one of Diddy's major lawsuits shine a whole new light on his relationship with then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez. We'll get into all this and more in leaked Diddy party photo of Jennifer Lopez will change everything. Diddy, as you likely know by now, has been accused of some pretty heinous things by multiple people, including some past partners. Many lawsuits have been filed against the disgraced rapper. The lawsuit alleged that Diddy and an unnamed additional male celebrity harmed her inappropriately, while another, also unnamed, female celebrity watched. The plaintiff's story in the lawsuit was, she attempted to sneak into Radio City Music Hall in 2000 for MTV's VMAs, but when she was unsuccessful, she ran into Diddy's driver. The driver told her to come back after the show, and when she did, he drove her to a large white house with a gated U-shaped driveway. The plaintiff further claims that upon entering the house, she was presented with a non-disclosure agreement and asked to sign. Once inside, she claims there was widespread use of substances, and when handed a beverage, they were in there too. In a bid to find somewhere safe to rest, the plaintiff claims that she entered an empty bedroom, and it wasn't long after she entered that the trio of celebrities allegedly followed. It was then that the multiple transgression happened, ultimately halting when the plaintiff struck Diddy in the neck. She was able to eventually escape the house and return home, but of course, the night left its mark. As reported by the Daily Mail, the lawsuit claims that the plaintiff fell into a deep depression which continues to affect every facet of her life. Diddy continues to assert his innocence. Back in October of this year, the Daily Mail obtained exclusive images of allegedly the very same after-party that this incident happened at, and the photos feature what appears to be a very angry J.Lo yelling at then-boyfriend and presently accused Sean Diddy Combs. The couple appears to be towards the wall of the room that is clearly still buzzing with party energy. Diddy appears to be dressed in what he wore to Radio City Music Hall that evening, a white shirt, baseball cap, and the new addition being what appears to be a bottle in his hand. In J.Lo's case, she had changed from her event outfit of the all-white ensemble with the bedazzled bandana to a colorful diamond and striped mini dress. As the party guests dance around the couple, the vibes could not be more different. Even directly beside J.Lo is who the Daily Mail has pointed out as her sister, Linda Lopez. She has a big smile on her face in some photos. It looks like she's continuing to dance the night away. In other photos, it's unclear if they became before or after the initial argument photo. J.Lo appears to be looking at Diddy in disdain or disappointment as he pours guests glasses from the bottle in his hand. In what the Daily Mail deems the next photo in the sequence, J.Lo is seen pushing away from the alleged confrontation and walking out of frame. As these are photos and not videos, there is no way of knowing exactly what was being said while the pictures were being taken unless one of the two stars steps forward. Though with the timing of the photos being obtained so close to the lawsuit being filed, it's made people look into the images a bit closer and wonder what the apparent argument could have been about. As of right now, J.Lo is not named in the lawsuit filed by the girl harmed at the allegedly same party. The lawsuit simply states Sean Diddy Combs and two unnamed celebrities were present. If it was this party, the house would be crawling with famous faces. This after-party event was co-hosted by Eminem and Dr. Dre. Some big-name guests that were included in the series of images the Daily Mail obtained from this night include music artist Jay-Z, magician David Blaine, model Carmen Cass, and rapper Ice-T, and more. To be clear, none of these people were named in the lawsuit either. They were simply present at the after-party. There have been instances in the past when Diddy has hosted star-studded bashes that turn into his bad parties after all the talent has left. The US Sun reported that Diddy's 2005 VMAs after-party went something like that. The event started as a party and was attended by big names like Eva Longoria and Paris Hilton, but the later half of the evening allegedly dissolved into one of Diddy's infamous freak-offs after the majority of the talent had left. The remaining party guests allegedly were moved from the nightclub to Diddy's mansion in the early morning, and this is where his inappropriate party happened. Footage from the later half of the party allegedly shows Diddy wearing the same outfit he had been wearing in the VMA after-party pics. It's unclear if the incident at the 2000 MTV VMAs after-party was a situation like that, or an isolated incident that happened during the party. Diddy is known for having an unsavory and violent past that is completely unrelated to the many lawsuits filed against him lately. Just under a year before the year 2000 after-party, in December of 1999, Diddy and J.Lo were arrested after an altercation in a Manhattan club. Reported at the time was that in the club, Diddy, J.Lo, Diddy's bodyguard, and another music artist named Shine got in a disagreement that resulted in a fight. Diddy and J.Lo were not harmed inside the bar and fled the scene taking a car. Forbes reported that the couple were being chased by police, and the New York Post reported that the car ran a red light before being pulled over by the police. It was during this stop that things started to go south for the famous couple. Inside the car, police found a stolen weapon, the discovery prompting the stars being taken into custody. custody. Present at the station where the couple was taken was retired NYPD detective Derek Parker. After the event, he spoke to the New York Post, giving them an exclusive look into what it was like in the room that night. He said there were all these high-profile lawyers barricaded in the station house waiting to talk to the desk officer, and further went on to recall that J.Lo was first handcuffed to a pole inside the station and then later held for about 14 hours in detention. Of course, like I'm assuming anyone who just experienced a club uproar and arrest like she did, the retired detective said that J.Lo appeared distressed. J.Lo ended up getting released and cleared of all charges first after that 14 hours. She later shared in an interview that she was scared to death in the car at the time. Though J.Lo was cleared of any charges, Diddy wasn't, so a trial had to take place that lasted a few weeks. In addition to the incident at the club, prosecutors also alleged that Diddy and his bodyguard tried to bribe the driver of the getaway car $50,000 in exchange for him telling the police the weapon was his. One of the victims of the incident did testify as a witness at the trial. During her testimony, she claimed that she saw Diddy pulling out the weapon with his right hand, and then very soon after feeling immense pain in her face that later turned out to be caused by the There is a tie-in to this situation and the current Diddy situation. One of the recent lawsuits filed against Diddy came from producer Rodney Little Rod Jones Jr. He filed a civil lawsuit for non-consensual relations and harassment, and in a shocking turn of events, it also seems to possibly reference this 1999 incident as well. The suit claimed that on the day Homeland Security raided Diddy's home, he displayed his and bragged about getting away with using these weapons against people. It went further, saying that Diddy also confirmed to those present that he was responsible for the New York incident with the other rapper Shine. Not only that, but that J.Lo was the one who carried the firearm into the club for him and passed him the gun after he got into an altercation with another individual. Of course, you might notice that this would make J.Lo being in possession of the item and handing it to Diddy improbable if the original victim insisted she saw him pull it out. But it's not impossible, could have happened before the altercation began. In the end, Diddy was acquitted along with his bodyguard. Though it is over 2 decades after the incident, the victim, Natanya Rubin, is still fighting for justice. She joined Elizabeth Vargas Reports for an interview earlier in the year in which she shared that she still has 9 fragments of the projectile in her face. A follow-up interview revealed that Rubin was nervous even years later about sharing her story. She also said in the interview that she wouldn't mind if the case was reopened, even going so far as to say that as long as it didn't cause any health complications, she would be willing to have a doctor remove a part of the 9mm projectile in her face to be used as evidence in court. Another interesting moment in the J.Lo Diddy relationship history is a rumor from the early 2000s that was addressed in a recent interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live. The rumor was that while Diddy was dating J.Lo in the late 90s, early 2000s, Will Smith and his wife had propositioned the Jenny from the Block singer with an invitation to join them in bed. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't too happy with that and threatened to attack Smith. Never one to shy away from anything, Kimmel straight up asked Diddy if this was true. Insert clip here. At first, the music artist made absolutely no movements, just kept his face in a very serious mask. Eventually, he did respond with, "You really heard that?" and laughed the whole thing off, claiming he didn't know what Kimmel was talking about. The talk show host played into the bit, making a remark about how one can't believe everything they hear on the internet.
Ben didn't want his love letters to Jennifer being made public in her new film, but insiders have claimed it wasn't because he had kept them a secret from his ex-wife. Because Jennifer Garner's fans were kind of outraged after Ben Affleck revealed that he clung on to his correspondence with J.Lo during his 13-year marriage, and then had those letters and emails bound into a book to gift to Jenny from the Block when they reunited in 2021. But insiders have quashed any notion that the admission shocked Garner. Apparently she was happy for Ben Affleck and J.Lo. She's friends with them, and she's also at peace in her current relationship. But Ben, on the other hand, would love for the outside world not to know about his love letters. Sure, he's a romantic, but you know, he's still a private kind of guy. He keeps his memories, whether it is from the movies he worked on or family, relationship moments. He always has what common folks call receipts. But then at the end of the day, nobody was surprised by J.Lo making things public because J.Lo wanted everybody to know about it. She was like, oh, this is our inspiration. Ben didn't know that she actually brought those into the studio until she told the world. According to several of J.Lo's former staff members, Jennifer earned herself the nickname Paylo because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. And this rumor's been going on for years, so it's pretty much fact at this point. We're talking like 2003, which is like 20 plus years ago. J.Lo was spotted in Vegas with Ben Affleck when they were first dating. Right now we're in round 3, 2, depends on where you are on the timeline. The pair had a big win. Ben decided to drop $2,000 to the dealer, but before the dealer could actually take his well-earned reward, J.Lo snatched up the cash, swapped it for $200. Now, people are like, okay, does she have a reason for paying her staff so little? She's like, yeah, I had to work hard to make my money, so everybody else should. And I'm sorry, that's just embarrassing. If you had to work hard to earn what you earned, you should want to try and make it easier for others because you know how hard it is. It's just a really entitled point of view, and it's gross. Now, if you didn't know, earlier this year, J.Lo released her documentary on Prime. It's This Is Me Now, a love story. Gave you behind-the-scenes look into her album, This Is Me Now. If I'm sounding redundant, just you wait. The movie was called The Greatest Love Story Never Told. Until it was told, and now it's over. Sorry, my little ad lib there. Some fans who watched it took to social media to call her out for her lies. Because in one scene, she poses in the mirror of her personal gym because she's shaking out her hair. She's reminiscing about growing up in the Bronx. She's like, yeah, I like taking my hair like this. It reminds me when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block. Crazy little girl who used to be effing wild, no limits, all dreams. But then come in TikTok user, photos by Angela, who's like, I went to the same Catholic high school as J.Lo, and J.Lo is lying. She said, and I quote, "We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block." Now, J.Lo's been long accused of some fibbing and whatnot. One big fib, apparently she doesn't actually sing on her albums. Singer Natasha Ramos took to TikTok to shed light on that rumor. So Natasha has a voice pretty similar to J.Lo's, and was allegedly hired to sing the demo of Jenny from the Block. And the production team liked her voice so much that they asked her to record 5 more songs for an album, which, oh boy. Natasha received $3,500 in a backup singer's credit. But as she claims, and as the original demo demonstrates, yeah, it's her voice in the final track. And not only in the choruses, it's her laugh, it's her yelling from the Bronx. J.Lo, I think, only really sings in the verse. Speaking of stealing, J.Lo's notorious for stealing from other artists. She caught her big break back in 1997 when she starred as the late Latin pop icon Selena in the biography of the same name. And after that film, J.Lo ventured into music. Her demo was picked up by music exec Tommy Mottola and Sony Music, and she dropped her debut album in summer of 1999. And one big hit from that album was If You Had My Love. You know it, you love it, we've all heard it. Well, that song got some backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore because Moore had a near-identical song called If I Gave Love that she recorded a year prior in 1998. Both these songs were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins. It's been said that J.Lo's then-boyfriend, whose name I probably shouldn't say on here, pressured Jerkins to write a near-identical song. And J.Lo's stealing habits only got worse as time went on. This wasn't a one and done. So using background vocals is not uncommon in the music industry. But the issue with J.Lo is that she's passed those off as her own. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian. Ashanti, J.Lo and Ja Rule's music video for I'm in Real remix. Yeah, J.Lo used Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and passed them off as her own. Yeah, instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, which is kind of what's normal in the industry, she left the demo vocals on the song and failed to credit anybody else. If I was to list everybody she's stolen from over the years or attempted to steal from, we'd be here all day. But let's look at some notable names. Usher, Mariah Carey, Brandy Norwood. I could go on and on. Oh, and by the way, J.Lo's also been accused of lip syncing a lot during live performances. In 2021, fans flooded social media during her American Music Awards performance because they were very disappointed that her vocals did not match the studio version of her song On My Way. And then 2014, she was performing on American Idol, and folks were like, no, you're lip syncing I Love Ya Poppy. We all saw it, we all know it. Not the right move. So in 2002, J.Lo starred in the romantic comedy Made in Manhattan. And she went all over the world promoting this, and when she landed in London, people were talking. They weren't talking about the movie though, they were talking about her demands. Because, well, she was there and, hanging out. She had a very interesting encounter with hotel staff. She was staying at the Metropolitan Hotel, and this is where the early signs of J.Lo being a career diva began to show. The hotel staff was astounded by her extravagant demands, because apparently it was reaching levels they'd never seen before. She was like, I need thousands of pounds of lemon-scented candles. And also, if I'm even gonna go a block around the corner, I need a limo. Literally, she had 7 limousines escort her to lunch at a place that was only 200 yards away. So maybe you think, well, Alexa, maybe she grew out of that. 2012 reports surfaced that Jenny from the Block demanded that staff working for her make no eye contact or even speak with her. While having work done on her San Fernando Valley home, she demanded that none of the helpers, drivers, or contractors have any interactions with her. And reportedly, when flying first class, she doesn't like anybody to bother her. Not even a flight attendant. And that's their job. They bother you for safety, if you need a snack. One time a flight attendant offered her a drink, and she was like, She said and said to her assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime." Sure, this rumor hasn't really been confirmed, but like, come on, who does that? J.Lo had her former co-star Ryan Guzman fake his relationship status to hype up their movie almost 10 years ago. And we found this out from his ex-girlfriend who was with him at the time. So Melanie Iglesias called out J.Lo on the No Chaser podcast for how Jen acted during the 2015 The Boy Next Door press run. Because apparently J.Lo was holding hands with Ryan at after parties and acting like they were an item. But she knew fully well he had like an actual girlfriend. The model says she even met J.Lo at an award show while she was dating Ryan, claiming she gave her an awkwardly firm handshake and an intimidating once-over, something Melanie says she was disappointed over, seeing as like at the time she viewed J.Lo as a hero. And Melanie also pointed that when Ellen DeGeneres directly asked J.Lo on the show, "Doesn't he have a girlfriend?" J.Lo played dumb. She's like, "I don't know." Girl, you knew. J.Lo faced a lot of backlash after revealing she was unhappy about sharing the stage with fellow artist Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl. The duo took the stage by storm at the iconic annual halftime show, with their history-making performance attracting a lot of praise from fans and celebrities worldwide. But turns out, despite the actual success of the performance, J.Lo wasn't really happy with the NFL's decision to have her and Shakira take the stage together. She admitted in her Netflix documentary that we know way too much about that she thought it was the worst idea in the world. Shortly after those comments hit online, fans were like, okay, what's up with this entitled attitude? Arguing that regardless of time constraints, it was iconic. And it's like, girl, you went out, you did your thing.
Jennifer Lopez's new documentary is getting some mixed reviews, some believing she exposed too much of her personal life with Ben Affleck. First off, we see Ben talk about how he felt exposed after Jennifer shared a private book of their emails and letters. 20 years ago, I fell in love with the love of my life, and during that time I was making an album called This Is Me Then, Lopez is heard telling a crowd in the documentary. I hadn't made an album since then. Years later, we got back together and I was very inspired. The inspiration came after her, quote, Bible, she calls it, which was the book Affleck gave her on their first Christmas together. It is every letter and every email that we wrote to each other from 20 years ago to today, she says, sharing that he titled the, quote, Bible, The Greatest Love Story Never Told by Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, 2001 to 2021 and counting. Lopez placed the book in the studio and let her collaborators go through it for song inspiration. To Ben's surprise, Ben appears shocked and surprised to find out that Lopez shared this private book he gave her with everyone in the studio. When talking to the artist working with Jennifer Lopez, Affleck discovers that they gave him a nickname. I was like, you've been showing all the musicians these letters? Affleck says in the documentary, and they were like, yeah, we call you Pen Affleck. And I was like, oh my god. In the documentary, we also learned that Ben had some serious reservations of his love story being shared so publicly. I did really find the beauty and the poetry and the irony in the fact that it's the greatest love story never told, he tells the cameras. And if you're making a record about it, that seems kind of like you're telling it. In another scene, Affleck expresses how it was an adjustment for him to have her share their private life with the entire world. Jen was really inspired by this experience, which is how artists do their work, he says. I certainly do the same things, but things that are private, I have always felt are sacred and special because, in part, they're private. So this was something of an adjustment for me. Ultimately, Ben comes to terms with Lopez's project after realizing it's not all about their relationship. I don't really love being in the making of a documentary about my personal life, which is why I'm so relieved that I'm not really, well, it seems like I might be in this, but I'm not really, he says. I was worrying for no reason. The movie wasn't about me. It was about the ability to love yourself, and that love story is a lot effing harder to find than Prince Charming. Next, we learned Ben had to make compromises when they got back together. Getting back together, I said, listen, one of the things I don't want is a relationship on social media, Ben says. Then I sort of realized it's not a fair thing to ask her. It's sort of like, you're gonna marry a boat captain, and you're like, well, I don't like the water. He added, we're just two people with kind of different approaches trying to learn to compromise. Next, we learned in the documentary that some A-list stars declined to be in the movie musical about her life that accompanies the documentary. In the documentary, Lopez reveals Anthony Ramos, the In the Heights star, was offered the role of her significant other in the rebound scene of the movie. He was going to do the rebound number with me and the glass house, she tells wardrobe supervisor Sean Barton during rehearsals, and he was like, I'm friends with Mark Anthony. Lopez was married to Mark Anthony from 2012 2004 to 2014, and the pair share 16-year-old twins. The rebound scene that Anthony was supposed to be in shows Lopez in a toxic relationship with a drunken partner. The singer, however, never specifically mentions who the song and scene is about. We also see Jennifer crying about a past relationship and how it negatively impacted her self-esteem. She gets emotional as she recalls a relationship in which she says she was, quote, manhandled before she hit rock bottom and realized it was time to get out. Though she doesn't name the ex, singer and actress speaks candidly through tears about the experience and how it affected her going forward. Being thrown around and manhandled is not fun, she explains. I was never in a relationship where I got beat up, thank God, but I've definitely been manhandled in a couple of other unsavory things. Jen doesn't reveal who treated her that way, but her long career in showbiz has involved plenty of high-profile relationships in addition to her marriage now to Ben Affleck. Jennifer shares more about her past toxic relationships by saying, quote, there were people in my life who said I loved you and then didn't do things that were kind of in line with the word love. You have to hit rock bottom where you're in situations that are so uncomfortable and so painful that you finally go, I don't want this anymore. A therapist said to me, what if this was your daughter? What would you do? And it was so clear, she called. I was like, I'd tell her, get out of there and never look back. But for me, it was so clouded and so complicated with so much of my past and my own pain and hurt and dysfunction that I couldn't see clearly. It was like looking through fog. Jane Fonda had some honest words with Jennifer in the documentary while on a phone call with her. I want you to know that I don't entirely know why, but I feel invested in you and Ben, and I really want this to work, tells Jen of Ben Affleck on a call filmed for the documentary. However, this is my concern. Like, it feels too much like you're trying to prove something instead of just living it. You know, every other photograph is kissing and the two of you hugging. Jennifer shrugs it off and laughs though. That's just us living our life, says. But Jane Fonda did have a point, and if Jennifer listened to her, it may have saved her from receiving horrendous reviews online after both movies came out. Some saying the movie musical is the worst movie ever made. One reviewer made a list called The Reasons Why This Sucked. I had no idea what was going on in the movie. There was no theme. Actually, there were too many themes. There were so many talented artists who were used more as props. They should have had bigger roles. This movie seems like an ode to herself for nailing down a man. It's not really about love. It's a movie about conquering a man. It's basically telling everybody that other relationships that her and Ben had were just filler until they could be together again. Her kids and Ben's kids are going to be watching this. Do they really need to know how much she loves making love to their dad? We all know it's not her voice singing those songs, and if it is, auto-tune should get a lot of credit, the reviewer says. The reviewer finishes off by saying she's narcissistic, way too in love with herself, and for people clicking more than 2 stars, did you actually watch it? Or are you just clicking on 5 stars because you love this egomaniac? Thoughts in the documentary on former co-star Jane Fonda's phone call, saying Jane is still very protective of her and felt like you're putting yourself out there to get beat up again. Jane Fonda's concerns resurfaced when she thinks about photos of the couple at the Grammy Awards in which Ben Affleck's disinterested expression became the target of memes galore and gossip about the pair's relationship. I get real scared, you know, with all that about the Grammys, and he looks unhappy, and I'm like, oh my god, what's happening? Fonda told Jennifer. Nothing, replied. Jennifer Lopez also revealed she got multiple no thank yous from more fellow celebs that she hoped would appear with her in the movie. Taylor Swift, whom Jennifer joined on stage during Taylor's Red Tour 2013, declined, according to Today.com. Jason Momoa, Jennifer Coolidge, Lizzo, Vanessa Hudgens, Ariana Grande, and Snoop Dogg also allegedly declined. Khloe Kardashian was another potential celebrity cameo who dropped out. I don't want to force anybody to this who go, it's gonna be fun, Verse says in the film. Nobody wants to say no to me, Benny. I get that, she tells her manager, Benny Medina. But when an actor doesn't like a script good enough or is worried about it, that is what they'll say. Jennifer, who ultimately put $20 million of her own money in visual album, also admits in the film that the whole project made her nervous too. People are scared to put out there. I get it, she says. Took me a long time. I'm scared. I don't act like I'm scared. That's the secret to my whole effing career. Looking back on her childhood, Lopez also reveals that she felt very ignored by her dad and that her mother was always the center of attention. She got used to being around people who acted that way. Jen felt emotional emotionally neglected as a child, Ben Affleck says. He continues drawing parallels between her longing for approval and his own past struggles with alcoholism. It's a hard thing to look at somebody whose professional life is wildly successful and who on Instagram looks like they're living the happiest life in the world. The thing you discover is there isn't enough alcohol in all the liquor stores in the world to fill up that thing. In Jennifer's case, I don't think there's enough followers or movies or records or any of that stuff. Part of you still feels a longing and pain. Ultimately, that's the work that you gotta do on your own.
We all know that Jennifer Lopez used to date Diddy, but now her ex-husband is claiming that J.Lo attended Diddy's parties and actually knew what was going on. Ohani Noah, J.Lo's first husband, took to social media to distance himself from any connection to Diddy's freak-off parties, but claimed that J.Lo was one of multiple celebrities present at them. While we do know that J.Lo has been to Diddy parties, as there's photographic evidence, there has been nothing official put out about her involvement in freak-offs. Now, in a post on Instagram, Noah shared a list of stars who have allegedly attended Diddy's parties, one being J.Lo. "I'm not on the list," he captioned the post. To those people and media outlets asking if I ever went or participated in that piece of Diddy's freak-off parties, no and no. Never. But my ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, aka J.Lo, did. Ask her. Noah, who married J.Lo in February 1997, before the couple divorced less than a year later, blames their split on Diddy's working relationship with J.Lo. Now, that relationship was created during the making of J.Lo's debut album On the Six, and it later became romantic, with Diddy and J.Lo dating between 1999 and 2001 before calling it quits. She went from Jen to being J.Lo, this big business bringing in millions, Noah once told Daily Mail of the shift of their relationship. She had all these new people around her, all wanting to make money off of her. I would call and an assistant would say, "Sorry, she's not available." Now, this isn't the first time her ex-husband has called her out. Despite the fact that they were only married for 9 months, Noah has been trying to slander his former flame to keep his name in the news by any means possible. In 2006, he set out to publish a tell-all book dubbed The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller, which Jennifer stopped with a lawsuit, claiming that her ex was breaking their confidentiality agreement. She was then awarded $545,000 in damages, and Noah was slapped with a court order which forbade him from criticizing, casting in a negative light, or otherwise disparaging Jennifer. Then just 3 years later, he made headlines again when he threatened to release videos taped during the pair's honeymoon, showing the pop star in a revealing lack of clothing and in certain situations, especially in the hotel room. And this caused her to file a $10 million lawsuit against him. Meanwhile, during a 2016 appearance on Million Dollar Matchmaker, he dumped blame on his former wife, saying that she caused their split, and claimed, "I was looking forward to being with her for the rest of my life. It didn't happen. She made the choice of her career instead of me." Now, after Jennifer tied the knot with Ben Affleck in July 2022, Noah publicly spoke out about her marriage. "I wish her and Ben the best, but I'm not convinced it will last," he told the Daily Mail that month. "Jen loves being in love, but she's been engaged 6 times. Ben is husband number 4. I was husband number 1, and she told me I was the love of her life." Now, it seems like in the end that he was right. Other stars have also called out J.Lo for her ties to Diddy as well. Elon Musk was speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience when he began talking about J.Lo's criticism of the recently elected president and his remarks about Puerto Ricans. He said J.Lo was like his ex-girlfriend, and now all of a sudden she's warning people about Trump. How many people did she warn about Diddy? Oh, 0. Maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion, he said. He added, people in the music industry had to know that Diddy was doing all those things. Where's the accountability? They had to know. Suge Knight also believes that J.Lo's and Ben's marriage fell apart because Homeland Security informed him that she was on the tapes that they found at Diddy's. "It's a white man who got respect in the white world," Knight said on his podcast Collect Calls. "I'm quite sure they said, we want to show you some things about your wife. I'm quite sure they headed for divorce because that's a man who had a good life. Great parents, don't spend a lot of money, ain't tripping off paparazzi, he's living his life. He got his own team, she done brought all that extra out, and now that mother effer he want out." Now, on the other hand though, Thea D'Souza, who worked with J.Lo on the 2002 film Made in Manhattan, posted a statement on Threads recently that defended the star and said that she had no involvement with any of this. If you knew Jennifer Lopez, if you ever worked with her like I did, or if you're close with people who are like family to her like I am, you would know she did not have any idea about Diddy. She barely drinks, she's not a partier, she isn't a good time girl, she's a workaholic who uplifts women and who was charmed by him for a brief time in her life. Now, she emphasized that J.Lo does not deserve to be conflated with Diddy's shocking and criminal misdeeds. Now, J.Lo was recently spotted out in public interacting with fans when a paparazzi asked her, "J.Lo, do you have any comments about P. Diddy and the allegations?" Now, immediately, J.Lo stopped taking photos and giving autographs and left. Many people begged her not to leave, but she didn't listen. She wanted nothing to do with answering that question or being associated with Diddy. Now, with Diddy's recent arrest, people have been speculating on his time with J.Lo. An anonymous source said he was very controlling, he would constantly put her in uncomfortable situations. This is a good girl from the Bronx who never got into trouble or was wild. The source also said he never hurt J.Lo, but she had her longtime manager, Benny Medina, to protect her. Benny would have ended Puffy's life if he laid a finger on J.Lo. But still, Puffy was controlling and demanding. Now, there's been a conflicting report though, as another source who knew the couple at the time said he definitely manhandled her, but it's a little low to bring all this up now. It's kicking a man when he's down. Then there was the nightclub situation. In 1999, Diddy was arrested following an incident that happened at a nightclub in New York. That night, Diddy was with his bodyguard Anthony Wolf, rapper Jamal Barrows, and Jennifer. As reported by Forbes, the incident started with a disagreement and ended with 3 different people becoming injured. After the incident, Diddy, J.Lo, and Jamal left the scene, but the 3 were involved in a police car chase. It was then reported that J.Lo threw evidence out of the car. According to the Washington Post, police found a stolen weapon in the car, and both Diddy and J.Lo were arrested and initially charged with criminal possession of stolen property. The charges against J.Lo were dropped overnight, but Diddy and Jamal went to trial. Diddy faced additional charges of bribery as he had allegedly offered the driver of the car $50,000 to say the weapon was his. Diddy was acquitted of all charges, and Jamal was charged with 5 offenses, but nobody was ever charged and found guilty of the actual incident. But recently, one of Diddy's accusers, Rodney Jones, who filed a lawsuit against the star, claimed that Diddy was responsible for the incident in the nightclub in New York and alleged that Diddy bragged about using J.Lo to smuggle the weapon into the club. He shared that the artist and his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, carried the weapon into the club for him, passed it to him after he got into an altercation with another individual, Jones is alleged in the lawsuit. All I can say about this is yikes. Now, Diddy has denied the accusations, but again, J.Lo has remained silent. Is there more to this story that J.Lo is letting on? And if she could lie about that, then has she really been involved with the crimes happening at Diddy's parties? There's so much speculation right now, but it seems like we won't get an answer about it unless J.Lo is called on to testify at Diddy's trial, which is currently set for May 5th, 2025.
Does Ben Affleck secretly hate J.Lo's level of fame? A recent interview with Kevin Hart has just shed some light on this debated topic. Hart's Peacock series, Heart to Heart, is a talk show that brings on A-listers to showcase their true self. Affleck was the A-lister for the season 4 premiere. A good choice considering everyone wants to know what's been up with him lately. People have been wondering if Affleck secretly dislikes his wife's level of fame. He certainly didn't help his case when he said it was effing bananas, which could mean nothing. Although he is right to say it, J.Lo's fame level is off the charts. In context, the actor had been telling a story about him and his family when they were in NYC and on their way to a Broadway show. However, due to bad traffic or something, they had to get out and walk the remainder of the way to the theater to make sure they were going to be on time. Affleck recalls that once out of the car and into Times Square, people immediately reacted to J.Lo, running backwards to get videos and pictures and screaming. It was, as Affleck claims, effing bananas. If Affleck does hate J.Lo's fame, he is trying to keep that under wraps, finishing off his story saying his wife was amazing. Sometimes secrets between couples are a good thing, and it can be a serious breach of trust when those secrets get shared without one party's consent. That that's exactly what happened between Lopez and Affleck when J.Lo shared the love letters Ben had written to her, and he didn't find out until it already happened. Affleck is a very private guy. That has been made abundantly clear over the years. That means he is also not one to share many comments about his personal relationships. That doesn't mean he isn't a romantic. He clearly is, if the love letters he wrote for J.Lo are anything to go by. However, it seems that in his perfect world, we would never know about these love letters, especially not the content in them. But once those letters left his hands for J.Lo's, he lost control over who reads them. J.Lo let some musicians read the contents of the letters in hopes it would inspire them. This happened while filming the documentary about her movie. Ben allegedly had no idea this was going to happen, which some people say is a serious breach of trust. Even though Affleck appeared taken aback, he seems to have accepted that it happened, and that if J.Lo wants to call the film the greatest love story never told, the letters about said love story should probably be in it. Affleck hates a spotlight, old news. J.Lo loves a spotlight, also old news. Opposites attract, but there is only so long people can go on pretending they enjoy something they secretly hate. Affleck has been making it clear that he would prefer to be out of the picture rather than in it. Back at the 2023 Grammys, Affleck made it quite clear he didn't want to be the center of attention that night, leading to a clip of a small disagreement between him and J.Lo going viral online. The couple were on camera in the first place because the host, Trevor Noah, was doing like a little bit right beside them. It was impossible to not have the couple in the shot. In the viral clip, you can see Affleck lean forward to whisper something in J.Lo's ear, something she clearly didn't like, as it looks like she's angry with Affleck, says some stern words, and lightly hits him on the chest before turning back around, realizing where the camera is, and smiling. People were quick to comment on this interaction with things like "free Ben" and "Affleck looks miserable." It was causing such a ruckus that Affleck actually ended up clearing the air in a later interview. He shared that the interaction was simply another addition of him being camera shy, saying, "I saw Trevor Noah and I was like, oh god, they were framing us in the shot, but I didn't know they were rolling. I leaned into her and I was like, as soon as they start rolling, I'm going to slide away from you." To which J.Lo's response was apparently, "You better effing not leave." So she was actually a bit upset with him because he didn't want to be on camera, which could mean nothing in the long run, but if we are looking at the long run of this couple so far, this seems to be a common theme. Ben Affleck's recent home switch has many turning heads. Him and J.Lo were living together in a mansion they purchased in 2023 for $60.8 million. Now it seems Ben has either moved out or is simply spending some time in a different mansion. The rental the actor is staying at is notably closer to where his ex, Jennifer Garner, lives, which could mean nothing. It also could mean he just wants to live closer to his kids, especially with so many milestones happening, like his daughter's graduation, for example. People are still keeping a close eye on said rental, hoping to get some info about what is going down, or maybe if J.Lo is staying there too. Some would argue no, after the incident at Affleck's daughter's graduation party. Affleck and J.Lo attended together and were seen leaving together in his car, heading back to the rental. However, once they got there, J.Lo was not sticking around, allegedly getting out of one car and into the next before presumably heading home. Now photos of the couple's $60 million mansion are back on Zillow. Nothing has been confirmed yet regarding whether or not the couple is actually selling their property, but the secret photos are an interesting move. Speaking of spending time apart, it looks like Affleck is hanging around making headlines in LA right now, while J.Lo is off vacationing in Europe. If J.Lo wanted to keep this mini vacay on the down low, it is not working. Photos have hit celebrity gossip sites of the singer on boats taking selfies because she looks great on a boat in Italy. I think we would all snap a few selfies in that situation. Notably, J.Lo's husband, he's not there with her. This absolutely might be due to a work-related reason. Affleck does seem quite busy between his current projects being filmed and running Artist Equity with longtime partner in crime Matt Damon. Sources that claim to be close to J.Lo have given some insight into why Ben and J.Lo might be apart right now, saying, "Jen loves vacationing in Europe during the summer. It's been nice for her to experience a change of pace and have some breathing room. So it seems like maybe J.Lo just needs some time away, which could mean nothing." The source confirmed that J.Lo is having a good time with her girls, doing the kind of stuff that is allegedly not really Affleck's scene, like staying out late, getting dressed up to go shopping, dancing, and things like that. The source confirmed that all that isn't really Affleck's thing, saying that's never really been Ben's scene, even when him and Jen weren't having any issues. They did clarify that though Affleck is not there with his wife, J.Lo isn't letting that dampen her vacation, which, good for her, she's partying the night away in Europe, she should be feeling her best doing that. It's come out that J.Lo allegedly has rules that Affleck must follow, ranging from some that align with Affleck's lifestyle already, and a few that are unexpected, at least to the public. Some rules that Affleck allegedly must follow that he was probably already doing are working out and not smoking or drinking. One of the newer, surprising rules are no female flight attendants on their flights. When the public found out about this little secret rule, people were quick to call J.Lo controlling and overbearing. However, there might be a reason J.Lo allegedly has a rule like this. A past ex of hers, Mark Anthony, allegedly had an affair with a female flight attendant. Ben Affleck has been caught without his wedding ring more than once, which is not a good look amid rumors of divorce. Just a few days ago, the star was out to lunch with his oldest daughter, and NY Post reports that he wasn't wearing his wedding ring, which could mean nothing. One time that Affleck was seen without his ring definitely did mean nothing. The Accountant 2 is in production right now, so Affleck has been filming for that for the past little bit. While on set, he was spotted without his wedding ring, but as I mentioned before, they were filming. The missing ring likely had more to do with filming the movie than anything happening in his personal life. He was seen wearing it the next day as he headed to work, so he is really keeping people on their toes with this one. One big secret everyone wants to uncover is why Affleck and Lopez have been attending some events solo. It's a big mystery everyone wants to solve, and the official statements from the stars are making some people more suspicious than anything else. The biggest event J.Lo attended alone would have to be this year's Met Gala. The singer was a co-chair for the event, but showed up noticeably single. She looked great on the carpet as she headed in to host the biggest fashion event of the year, but people just couldn't shake that Affleck wasn't there beside her. The official reason given by a rep for Affleck was that he was filming The Accountant 2 in LA and just couldn't make it out. An unofficial statement comes from an alleged friend of Affleck's that he maybe opted out simply because he hates the Met Gala and it's not his scene. What is interesting is the day before the Met Gala, Affleck was present for the roast of Tom Brady, even giving a speech. Many wonder why he was able to get time off for that and not the Met Gala. Though they are on completely different sides of the country and he was already in LA, which could mean nothing. When it came out that J.Lo not only tries to control how much Affleck tips those in the service industry, but also will secretly exchange larger tips for smaller ones, people were in disbelief. Multiple people have shared their encounters serving J.Lo and Ben in some way on TikTok, leading to some pretty viral videos. Most stories have one thing in common: J.Lo is not fun to serve. One former casino employee claimed in a video uploaded to TikTok that J.Lo would either encourage Affleck to leave smaller tips for employees, or if he'd left something big, circle back later and exchange the tip for something smaller, likely without her husband knowing, but not always. In one particular instance of this, Affleck was allegedly present when it happened and allegedly looked mortified. Now some servers claim Affleck doesn't tip at all anymore, which could mean nothing. Is it possible that Affleck has been keeping his true feelings about his marriage to J.Lo under wraps? It looks like, if we trust a recent source that has come forward claiming that Affleck said his marriage to J.Lo was made in a burst of temporary insanity. This source has single-handedly caused the most drama for this couple over the past few months, and with claims like Affleck has come to his senses after years of being in a fever dream regarding his marriage to J.Lo, it's not hard to see why. The source spoke to Page 6, saying if there was a way to divorce on grounds of temporary insanity, he would. He feels like the last 2 years were just a fever dream, and he's come to his senses now and understands there is just no way this is going to work. Now that's quite a big statement to make, and it could mean nothing, but the way Ben and J.Lo have been acting for the past few months has led to this source gaining validity every day.
One of the biggest red flags about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's divorce is the fact that they have been living apart, completely separated. Now, although the couple made no public announcement about it, this has been confirmed by multiple sources and in multiple outlets. Now, it was first reported on May 16th that Ben had been staying at a Brentwood home all by himself. Then on May 19th, one inside source claimed that they had been staying in separate homes and the tension has been high. And then more recently, on June 28th, it was reported that Ben was moving his belongings out of their home and that the two of them only communicate now to discuss essential matters and updates. And these rumors expose their major marriage problems, which they've been hiding from the world. Now, Us Weekly spoke to someone back in May who said they started having issues a few months ago as Jen had started ramping up work commitments and prepping for her tour. They are on two completely different pages most of the time. Now, apparently around that same time, the couple did not celebrate Mother's Day together, which of course is a bad sign. It was also suggested that finances and parenting have made their issues worse. Meanwhile, another insider said Ben feels like Jen has a hard time feeling satisfied, and that's one of the issues they're facing. Ben is one of the only people who feels comfortable enough to be honest and real with Jen. It's part of why Jen loves him, but also why she's upset with him. Now, unfortunately, it seems like others around them are also pushing for divorce. J.Lo's mom allegedly told her, "Cut your losses and move on to avoid getting any deeper in this mess." She told her that she's wasted years believing that Ben was some kind of knight in shining armor. But according to her mom, he was not the person she built him up to be. It's taken too much of a toll on her, and because of this, she has lost sight of who she is and what she stands for. Meanwhile, J.Lo's sisters want her to file for divorce first and get on with her life so she can focus on her kids and career. And clearly, if her own family are giving her this advice, their marriage must be beyond the point of saving. Now, sadly, Ben's breakdown says a lot as well. It's clear he isn't going through the best of times at the moment. While rumors over the end of his marriage seem to be confirmed, the media spotlight that they're going through right now seems to be taking its toll. Now, Ben already proved it a few days ago after losing control and facing the paparazzi waiting for him at the exit of his mansion he shares with J.Lo in Beverly Hills. Now, he apparently went to pick up his personal belongings, taking advantage of the fact that his wife was on vacation in Italy. Now, one source close to him said, "It's no wonder he snapped, he's on the verge of a breakdown." Now, people close to Ben have been worried about him for a while because of what he's been going through in the past few months. They went on to say that he's in a very dark moment, and when he gets like this, his loved ones can't help but fear the worst. Now, since family has always been a fundamental pillar for Ben, he's now become very focused on his children, and surprisingly found a lot of support from his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, who has not hesitated to offer her help to Ben, even though J.Lo is not thrilled about it. Now, apparently Garner always steps in when he gets like this, and she's been visiting him at home a lot to make sure that he's doing well. But again, J.Lo is apparently not too thrilled that Jen is stepping in like this, since it's well known that she has a lot of rules when it comes to her love life, which includes controlling how often Ben sees his ex-wife. Now, it's been rumored that the actor will be reunited with his ex-wife for Deadpool 3, and a source recently told Women's Day that J.Lo wants 24/7 access to the set and to be able to drop in unannounced. There are to be no promo joint interviews and/or photo shoots, and no after-work socializing. She wants Ben at home as soon as he's done filming. So clearly, she is more than a little concerned about their workplace relationship. And J.Lo has also always been very strict on her idea of cheating, but she is known to take it a little too far. Now, she actually has a rule banning female flight attendants from her private planes because of her ex-husband's affair with one. And this is a rule that she has in place whenever she travels with Ben Affleck. Now, according to a news article, Jennifer was so angry after finding out her then-husband Mark Anthony had a fling with a flight attendant that she banned women from working on her private planes. Now, the two of them ended up splitting in 2012, but she clearly still carries that resentment with her. So much so that she can't trust these women to be around Ben either. Now, several corporate flight attendants came forward and confirmed that Jennifer brings her own male flight attendant, who is really just her personal assistant. Talk about bending the rules. Now, J.Lo allegedly keeps Ben on a tight leash about other things too. Before they got married, she demanded that he had to be in the best physical shape. Now, after the couple rekindled their relationship, she put him on a strict diet and workout regimen. According to an inside source, when they first started dating, Ben was up at 5 a.m. hitting the gym with J.Lo. Now, she told him this is unacceptable and she expects him to pick up the slack and wants him working out every day and eating right, no excuses. Now, the singer has also put her foot down when it comes to Ben's drinking. She's not a fan of drinking and partying and has always had a strict limit, but she changed this rule completely because of Ben's struggles. But you see, that's the other thing. With all of these divorce rumors going around, it's become very apparent that they are totally different people. While Ben is known as a more chill celebrity, J.Lo is the complete opposite. Now, she allegedly has a rule where she does not allow staff to talk to her directly or look her in the eye. In one instance, when contractors were hired for a job that could take up to a year on her house, they were informed that they were not to communicate with her at all. An inside source said she has made it clear that if any of the contractors, drivers, or domestic help make eye contact or speak to her, she will not be impressed. Now, she doesn't speak to salespeople, restaurant or hotel staff, or flight attendants. She only talks through her assistants. One flight attendant famously exposed her rude behavior. Apparently, when he asked Jennifer if she wanted a drink during a flight, she flat out ignored him, turned her head, and told her assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime." He said she wouldn't even look at me. It was sad. She seemed so sweet in her movies. Now, it's no wonder the singer is rumored to be entitled and superficial, because so many regular people have had the unfortunate one-time experience of being snubbed by her. And J.Lo's diva behavior actually goes back decades. Just ask fellow actress Rosie Perez. Now, they met back in 1991 during an open casting call for Living in Color. At the time, Perez was the show's choreographer and Lopez was auditioning to become a member of the dance troupe known as the Fly Girls. Now, her audition was unsuccessful, but Perez saw a star quality in J.Lo and actually pulled some strings to get her in. But after she was in the group, it became clear that Lopez didn't get along with her fellow dancers. According to Perez, she was labeled as a diva right away, saying all the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me all to her advantage. Perez said she didn't believe in it at first, but then J.Lo screamed at her saying, "I know I'm good, I'm better than any of these girls and you know it." Now, what's worse is after J.Lo left the show and made it big in the music industry, she went on talk shows trashing her former choreographer. Perez also implied that J.Lo ghosted her. She said, "I called her up, she wouldn't pick up. Frustrated, I left her an irate message on her answering machine, and instead of calling me back and hashing it out like friends do, she went on a major talk show and reiterated my lashing." Not to forget the fact that Jennifer also allegedly got a German hotel maid fired for asking for an autograph. Now, the staff member was working at the luxury Melia Hotel in Dusseldorf, Germany in 2012, and she was a big fan of J.Lo and worked up the courage to knock on the star's hotel door to ask for an autograph, but she was promptly turned away. She then claimed that she was fired the day after. She told The Sun, "I am an incredibly big fan, so I took all my courage and rang the bell to get an autograph, but I was rejected by 2 assistants at the door. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." Now, after receiving a rightful amount of backlash, the pop star wrote on Twitter, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this. Would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First if I heard of this was on Twitter, #hurtful." So clearly she's been a controversial figure for quite some time, and fans are pointing this out now that they seem to be on the brink of divorce. Not even a month after their 10-year wedding anniversary, Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck announced that they were getting a divorce. This came as a surprise to a lot of people, as throughout their marriage they seemingly had a very healthy relationship. Now, it turns out that was not the case for as long as we thought. When the pair did divorce, there were rumors going around that Ben had formed a relationship with their children's nanny. Now, of course, he denied these rumors, with the rep for Ben saying that the story was complete garbage and full of lies. However, later in a conversation with Vanity Fair, Jennifer Garner confirmed that yes, Ben had an affair with their nanny. She said that there were lots of reasons for their split, but this was definitely not something you can ignore. She then went on to say, "It's not great for your kids for a nanny to disappear from their lives. I've had to have conversations with my children about the meaning of a scandal," she said. Now, in that same same interview, the actress said, "No one needs to hate him for me. I don't hate him. Certainly we don't have to beat the guy up. Don't worry, my eyes were wide open during the marriage." Next is Jen wanting a baby. Now, a source exclusively told Life in Style that J.Lo has been trying to persuade Ben to have a baby via surrogate and claims that she finally got him to cave in. The source says Jennifer has become passionate about getting yet another second chance, having a baby with Ben. She nagged him until he went along with it, added the source. Ben was completely happy with the blended family they already have, but he loves kids, that's why he agreed to having another. At the end of the day, he wants Jennifer to be happy. But I mean, it doesn't really feel like he wants another kid. Now, Ben has 3 children from his previous marriage, while Jen has 2. Now, they're allegedly in the planning stage, with Jen looking at surrogates, but with the rumors of a divorce and the pair currently living apart for the time being, adding another kid into the equation doesn't sound like a good idea at all. Then there's Ben's addiction. Ben has been open about his addiction to alcohol. He first checked into a rehab facility in 2001, completing a 30-day residential rehabilitation program for alcohol abuse. He then sought treatment for alcoholism on several occasions in the years since, getting professional help in 2008, 2017, and again in 2018 after his divorce from Jennifer Garner was finalized. Now, he briefly relapsed in 2019, but said he wouldn't let it derail him, admitting, "It happens, it's a slip." Now, that same year, the actor acknowledged that being an alcoholic is something that he deals with on a daily basis, saying on the Today Show, "It doesn't have to subsume my whole identity and be everything, but it's something that you have to work at." Now, since Ben's addiction has played out so publicly, it's become unfortunately common for fans to speculate about his health, particularly after he married Jennifer Lopez. For example, a video clip of Jennifer and Ben having a seemingly tense conversation at the premiere for her movie Shotgun Wedding went viral in January after fans suspected the pair were arguing over Ben's drinking. Now that things appear to be rocky between the two, maybe Ben has relapsed again. Now let's talk about Jen exposing their relationship. Ben was taken aback when Jen shared with songwriters the private letters that he wrote to her to serve as an inspiration for her upcoming album, This Is Me Now. Per Variety, in a preview for her forthcoming Amazon Prime documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, Jen had invited musicians to their home and gave them access to Ben's love letters. Now, ironically, Ben walked in at that very moment and was surprised to see the letters being passed around. "I did really find the beauty and the poetry and the irony in the fact that it's the greatest love story never told," he said to the camera. "If you're making a record about it, that seems kinda like telling it." Now, reacting to the way J.Lo shared Ben's private letters, several Twitter users admitted that they found it invasive. "Sharing personal love letters with a bunch of people without the writer's permission seems like a very weird thing to do," one person wrote. "Literally cannot imagine sharing love letters with strangers. This is so invasive," another user said. "When you write something deeply intimate to your partner that comes from a very vulnerable place, one of the worst things a partner can do is show these to others," someone tweeted. Another one said, "It's truly inconsiderate to release it without telling him, especially considering he was probably being vulnerable," another user agreed. And I gotta say, I think it was a bad move on Jen's part. On to relationship rules. Jennifer's relationships are often in the spotlight, as she's been in several high-profile relationships that made headlines all over the world. From 2004 to 2011, she was married to Mark Anthony, and they had twins together. In 2017, she made headlines again when she broke the news that she was dating former New York Yankee Alex Rodriguez. Now, rumors spread that J.Lo would only consider marrying A-Rod if he agreed to a list of demands. Reportedly, he'd not be allowed to talk to any woman under the age of 40, which is just super controlling and gross. And additionally, J.Lo loved his physique and wanted a guarantee that he wouldn't let himself go once they got married. Now, none of these rumors have actually been confirmed, but it does seem pretty realistic to me. Now, we know that Jen and A-Rod didn't work out as she's now married to Ben, but I'm sure she has rules for him too, which is just unfortunate. Then there's the fact that Jen is a diva. Now, according to several of J.Lo's former staff members, Jennifer earned herself the nickname Pay-Lo because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. Now, this rumor has been going on for years. As you see, way back in 2005, 2003, Jennifer was spotted in Vegas with her then boyfriend, Ben Affleck. Now the pair had a big win and Ben decided to drop a $2,000 tip to the dealer, but before he could scoop up the generous award, J.Lo snatched up the cash and swiped it for $200 instead. Now Jennifer's reason for paying her staff so little: she had to work hard to earn her money, so should everyone else. Now this is just so embarrassing for her. If she had to work hard to earn her money, shouldn't she try to help make it easier for others because she knows how hard it is? She just seems so entitled, and it's just gross. Moving on to Ben not liking the spotlight. Now at a separate point in Jennifer's documentary about her album, Ben discusses the subject of privacy more broadly when talking about his and Jen's relationship, which was rekindled in 2021, almost 2 decades after they called off their 2002 engagement. He said, "Things that are private, I always felt are sacred and special because in part they're private." He added, "When Jen and I broke up before," he said, while looking back at the end of their engagement in 2003, "the catalyst for that was this massive amount of scrutiny around our private life." However, he did suggest that the couple didn't necessarily share the same viewpoints when it came to having a romance in the public eye. "I had a very firm sense of boundaries initially around the press, while Jen, I don't think, objected to it the way I did," the star continued, "and I very much did object to it." Now we have J.Lo's failing tour. So we all know that J.Lo released an album called This Is Me Now, and she made a movie for it, and then a documentary for it. Now it debuted at a disappointing number 38 on the Billboard 200, but despite this, J.Lo decided that she would go on tour with this album. Now J.Lo first announced this tour in the middle of February, initially as This Is the Me Now tour. A week later, another 3 shows were added, but however in mid-March, several tour dates were quietly removed without explanation. Then the tour's name had been changed from This Is Me Now to This Is Me Live, the greatest hits. So instead of it being a tour for that specific album, she's having one of her own era's tours. Now it's been cited that low ticket sales is a possible reason for emphasizing J.Lo's back catalog. Us Weekly reported that Jen was disappointed in the tour's lackluster ticket sales, but remained proud of the new projects. Jennifer is very focused on her latest project and doesn't want bad press to get in her head, they said. Now, if you go to Ticketmaster, there are a lot of tickets left, which is honestly just embarrassing. She should just play smaller venues or lower her ticket prices. Next up is not spending time together. Now, Ben and J.Lo have not been spotted together recently. For example, at the beginning of May, Jen attended the Met Gala all by herself. Now, this was shocking because Jen was a co-chair for the gala, but Ben was missing from the event. Now, Ben has been filming The Accountant too, and it's said that he skipped the event because of his schedule, but the night before, he was spotted at Tom Brady's roast in LA. Not to mention that J.Lo is gearing up for her tour, This Is Me Live, the greatest hits. Now she'll be on the road from June 28th to August 17th, and with her being so busy with this, she won't really have that much time to spend with Ben, and it will just put more space in between the two. Not to mention, even now, she has so many rehearsals for the tour, maybe all the time apart will be negative and will really result in them getting a divorce. And finally, we have their fights. Now, a lot of the pair's fights have been caught on camera, and it's been awkward. Ben found himself at the center of attention after he was shown looking bored and miserable while he and Jen attended the Grammys. The pair went viral once again after the cameras caught them having yet another tense-looking exchange. In the clip, Ben could be seen leaning in to whisper in Jen's ear, only for her to turn her head suddenly and sternly say something to him. She then puts her hand to her chest and looks to tell Ben to sit up as he immediately adjusts his posture. Fans on Twitter had a field day guessing about what the husband and the wife duo could have possibly been fighting about, with people speculating that Ben's unusual behavior on the night may have been because he was drinking. Jennifer Lopez has been in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons recently, and it's all because of Ben Affleck. Now, Ben Affleck has had a complicated relationship with J.Lo as they were once engaged, but they called the wedding off. They then got back together, and it was recently the couple's 2-year wedding anniversary, but it's said that they are heading for divorce. It appears that Ben has woken up to how crazy Jen Ben is and wants to end the relationship once again. An inside source close to In Touch Weekly said the reason for Ben taking such measures like moving out is because at the end of the day, Ben has to protect himself, and that's why he initiated the separation. He's scared if they stay together, he could seriously self-destruct. They said while he's been spotted spending quality time alone with J.Lo in recent days, he now feels his head is clear and he can move on. If there was a way to divorce on the grounds of temporary insanity, he would. He feels like the last 2 years was just a fever dream, and he's come to his senses and now understands there's just no way this is going to work. Now, Jennifer Garner hasn't said too much when it comes to Ben and Jennifer's divorce rumors, as she has been pretty supportive of the pair. Well, that's until now. Sources are now saying that she's drawing a line when it comes to their relationship drama affecting their kids. A close source recently revealed to Fox News Digital that Garner wasn't expecting Ben to rekindle his relationship with Lopez or all the media attention that comes with it. Now, Garner and Affleck share 3 children, and Garner has always been super protective of their privacy. But ever since Ben and Lopez's high-profile marriage, it's been paparazzi galore, and apparently Garner's not having it. It's not just the flashing cameras and the headlines though, there's also been a lot of speculation about the state of Ben and J.Lo's marriage, and it's weighing on Garner too. Now, based on numerous conversations on his show, Howard Stern has flat out claimed that he doesn't like J.Lo, her music, or how she's acted in her career. When Howard first got the job as a judge on America's Got Talent, there were a lot of concerned viewers. However, one of his first interviews as a judge, he tried to make his case by slamming other celebrity judges who, in his opinion, are more focused on advancing their own careers than doing the job they've been hired to do. I was critical of American Idol J.Lo because I felt that she never said anything negative, let's say, and I felt like, well, it helped her career. She got very far. She suddenly got back on the charts and the show was good for her, and it became more about J.Lo. Now, on top of this, Howard has repeatedly bashed all of J.Lo's music. In 2011, Howard and his co-host Robin Quivers dissected her hit single On the Floor and repeatedly played the sound of Howard banging his head against the wall in time with the music. Then in 2019, Howard called out Jimmy Fallon for praising J.Lo's Super Bowl halftime show performance. Now, this doesn't even scratch the surface of how many times he's bashed her. J.Lo and Shakira came together to perform on the football field at the Super Bowl in 2020. Now, as 2 Latina women, their performance was for the history books, as it was the first time that 2 Latinx artists have teamed up to headline the coveted halftime slot. Now, in the halftime documentary though, it showed J.Lo being frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive, as opposed to doubling it and giving the women extra time to shine, later branding the whole thing the worst idea in the world. It's such a big stage and it's such an important show, and it's been a nightmare since we started, she adds. I'm trying to give you something with substance, not just us out there shaking our effing butts and effing belly dancing. Now, not long after the doc was released, this particular line of dialogue was shared across Twitter, with a number of fans raising concerns about what J.Lo might have been insinuating about the art of belly dancing. Now, for some context, belly dancing has been long associated with Middle Eastern cultures, and from the earliest days of her career, Shakira has been known for this style of dance. So, it was pretty rude and insensitive of J.Lo to say that, and I'm sure Shakira didn't appreciate it. In early July 2003, Jennifer fired her manager Benny Medina. She accused him of violating California's Talent Agency Act, filed a petition accusing him of misappropriating her money, and sought millions back in commissions plus 10% interest. Now, the assertion was that Benny was not a licensed talent agent under the Labor Commissioner, a violation that entitles a performer to seek a refund for any payments to the acting talent agent. Now, in J.Lo's case, this amounted to 10% of earnings from movies and television, 15% of her music, recording and publishing earnings, and 10% of her earnings from other activities. Now, Benny denied the allegations, saying Jennifer Lopez, by making false allegations against me, is now adding me to the long list of people whom she has used and discarded after she took from them all she could get. Now, in the end, that December, Fox News reported the dispute was settled quietly some time ago. J.Lo then later rehired Benny to revive her music career in 2005, and the two have remained friends and business partners ever since, but it seems like he should keep his guard up if she really did lie about all of that. Now, Scott Barnes has worked for J.Lo since the year 2000, but that doesn't mean there hasn't been ups and downs. During an interview on the Jeff Probst show, Scott set the record straight after rumors circulated that he and two others, leaked plans of J.Lo and Mark Anthony's secret marriage, and as a result, J.Lo's team shunned Scott, and they did shun Scott indeed. He said nobody would talk to me, it was like I had the plague. Then when the truth came out that Scott did not leak the news or even know about the wedding ahead of time, he received a phone call, presumably from Jen, who Scott claimed said the following. It was like, hey, it was a big misunderstanding, you know we have a lot of stuff coming up and I really miss you, so let's just get back to work. Although Scott was very gracious about the whole thing, it appears that J.Lo did not apologize to him. Now, almost as soon as Jennifer shared a photo of her and Drake backstage at her Las Vegas show in December 2016, the rumor mill began turning, reporting that the pair were dating. The caption she used for the pic said, "Look who rolled up to my show tonight to say hi, #love him." Now the singer sure didn't help matters when she uploaded an image of the Canadian rapper, giving her a bear hug and looking rather cozy snuggling up to her. Now while some people didn't believe the headlines, Drake's on-again off-again love interest Rihanna sure seemed to have taken the post to heart and was not happy. According to an unnamed insider who spoke with In Touch, she felt like she had suffered the ultimate betrayal and dubbed J.Lo as desperate and a traitor. Although Rihanna never publicly addressed the issue, she did appear to throw some major shade in the most subtle of ways when in December of 2016, she suddenly unfollowed Jen on Instagram. Jennifer Lopez and Jenna Dewan seemed to get along just fine when they both appeared on NBC's World of Dance, the reality dance competition which premiered in 2017, saw Jen taking on the role of executive producer and judge, while Jenna acted as a host and mentor. Now the pair, who are both dancers, never showed any signs of animosity on the small screen, but according to OK Magazine, the vibe was very different behind the scenes. Jenna can't stand Jen's over-the-top theatrical fakery, the outlet quotes an unnamed source saying. Jen never fails to ham it up when the cameras are rolling, and she hijacks the show. Every situation, even off-camera, is micromanaged by J.Lo, and Jenna feels excluded, the insider concluded. J.Lo and Madonna's feud all began when Madonna was asked who she thinks is the best female singer in the world, and she said Jennifer Lopez was a good actress, but she couldn't sing. Then in a 1998 interview, Jennifer fired back at Madonna saying she wasn't a good actor while promoting her film Out of Sight. When asked about Madonna's acting skills, J.Lo didn't hold back. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. After the interview was published, J.Lo regretted everything she said about her colleagues and said it was all a joke. However, it was already too late as Madonna had already read the interview and reportedly felt disrespected. TikTok videos have unveiled the stories over the past years, and one of the topics was about J.Lo's backup singer, Julia Wang, who saw firsthand her mean girl side. If you were pretty or if you were a Latina, like game over, she hated you, Julia said to the singer. She just acted like a bully. Can you imagine spending time with someone working in a closed setting every single day for months, and this person not even acknowledging you or acting like you exist? Now, although we don't have proof of this, it definitely feels like something J.Lo would do, as she has a reputation for being a diva.
So J.Lo has a habit for being a bit of a diva. Well, actually she's got a habit for being a big diva. Once upon a time, she had somebody fired for just being a fan. Frey Dodage happened to be cleaning J.Lo's hotel room in Germany during her 2012 world tour. Now, as a big fan of the pop star, Frey tried to ask the star for an autograph, only to have two of her assistants stop her. Soon after, our poor girl was out of a job and she knew why. A day after the incident, the cleaning company that had employed her at the hotel called and said Ms. Lopez complained. This was all said in an interview with the Daily Star. The former staff member said, I was fired right there on the phone because of an autograph. On the flip side, J.Lo herself did deny the claims with one single tweet saying, come on, thought you knew me better than this. Would never get anyone fired over an autograph. Which, like, sure. If that isn't enough to prove J.Lo's awful behavior, how about this next story? An old interview has resurfaced, and it's one where she wasn't speaking too well about her fellow colleagues in the industry. This is what she had to say about two major stars at the time. In terms of Gwyneth Paltrow, tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work, which is kind of funny when you look at their acting careers today. When asked about Madonna, she said, do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. The funny thing about this is that Jennifer said this after only having Selena and Anaconda under her belt for her acting career, so I think that's kind of embarrassing, and I'm kind of glad that she got called out. According to several of J.Lo's former staff members, she earned herself the nickname Pay-Lo because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. This rumor's been going on since like 2003. Back then, Jennifer was spotted in Vegas with Ben Affleck, because that's back when they were dating the first time. The pair had a big win because it's Vegas, and Ben was like, hey, I'm gonna tip the dealer a nice tip, $2,000. But before he could actually give over the generous reward, J.Lo snatched up the cash and swapped it for just $200 instead. So why does Jennifer pay her staff so little? She's like, I had to work hard to earn my money, so should everybody else. Yeah, but also inflation. This is so embarrassing for her. Like, if she had to work hard to earn money, shouldn't she try to help make it easier for others since she knows how hard it is? It's just very entitled behavior, and it's really gross. And that isn't the end of the diva behavior rumors. In 2002, J.Lo starred in the romantic comedy Made in Manhattan, so she had to go all over the world promoting the romantic comedy, and when she landed in London, she had people talking about her demands. Because when promoting the movie, she had a couple of interesting encounters with the hotel staff. Deja vu. She stayed at the Metropolitan Hotel, and that's where a lot of folks were like, okay, diva behavior. The staff was amazed by her lavish and extravagant demands, because apparently it was to a level that they had never seen before. Allegedly, she requested that the hotel staff provide her with thousands of pounds of lemon-scented candles. Also, apparently she only travels in style, even when it's a short distance, so she had 7 limousines escort her to lunch at a place that was only like 200 yards away. In 2012, reports surfaced that Jenny from the block demanded that staff working for her make no eye contact or speak with her. While having work done on her San Fernando Valley home at the time, she demanded that no helpers, no drivers, no contractors have any interactions with her. Granted, these rumors were never confirmed. And allegedly, when she's flying first class, she doesn't want anybody bothering her, not even the flight attendant, even though that's like their job. One time, somebody offered her a drink and she refused to acknowledge them. She said to her assistant instead, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. Once again, none of this has obviously been confirmed, but it like doesn't do anything to help with that whole diva image. So now, if you didn't know, earlier this year, Jennifer released her documentary on Amazon Prime called This Is Me Now, a love story, which gave a behind-the-scenes look into her album This Is Me Now and the accompanying movie The Greatest Love Story Never Told. Also, there was supposed to be a tour, but that didn't happen for reasons. So some fans who watched all of the media took to socials being like, hey, we think you're lying about stuff. So in one scene, Jennifer poses in the mirror of her personal gym, she shakes out her hair, and she's reminiscing about her childhood in the Bronx. She said, I like taking my hair like this, it reminds me like when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block, crazy little girl who used to be effing wild, no limits, all dreams. But here's the thing, TikTok user Photos by Angela slammed the star in a series of videos because she's like, I went to the same Catholic school as J.Lo. So she accused J.Lo of lying about her experience living in the Bronx. She was like, we both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood. You weren't running up and down the block. This isn't the first round of lies for J.Lo. She's been long accused of not actually singing on her albums, and singer Natasha Ramos took to TikTok to shed light on this rumor. So Natasha, who has a voice pretty similar to J.Lo's, was hired to sing the demo of Jenny from the Block, and the production team liked her voice so much that they asked her to record 5 more songs for the album This Is Me Then, including the single I'm Glad. So Natasha received $3,500 in a backup singer's credit. However, as she claims, and as the original demo demonstrates, it's her voice that appears in the final track. And not only in the choruses, it's her laugh and her yelling from the Bronx. J.Lo only really sings in the verse. J.Lo is kinda notorious for stealing from other artists, and it's kinda crazy. J.Lo technically caught her big break back in 1997 when she starred as the late Latin pop singer Selena in the biography of the same name. And after that, J.Lo ventured into music. Her demo was picked up by music exec Tommy Mottola and Sony Music, and she dropped her debut album On the 6th in summer of 1999. One big hit from the album was If You Had My Love, but that got a lot of backlash, specifically from R&B singer Shantae Moore. Moore had a near-identical song called If I Gave Love, which was recorded a year prior in 1998. Both of these songs were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins, and it's been said that Lopez's then-boyfriend Diddy pressured Jerkins to write a near-identical song for her. And this isn't where all this stealing and thieving ends, folks. Using background vocals, like we mentioned earlier, it's not uncommon in the music industry, but the issue is that J.Lo has passed many vocals from other singers as her own, so committing fraud. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti, Jennifer and Ja Rule's music video for the I'm Real remix. To break it down, instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, she just left the demo vocals on the song and she failed to credit anybody. She's also stolen or attempted to steal from like Usher, Brandy Norwood, Mariah Carey, and many more. Not only that, but J.Lo has been accused of lip-syncing during live performances on multiple multiple occasions. In 2021, fans took to social media during her American Music Awards performance to express their disappointment, claiming that her vocals didn't match the studio version of her song On My Way. Similar accusations surfaced in 2014 during her performance on American Idol, when a lot of folks were like, "You're lip syncing." She was singing I Love You Poppy, by the way. Jennifer Lopez had her former co-star Ryan Gosling fake his relationship status to hype up their movie almost 10 years ago, so claims his ex-girlfriend, who was kind of with him at the time. Melanie Iglesias called out J.Lo on the No Chaser podcast for how she claims Jen acted during the Boy Next Door press run, alleging that J.Lo would hold hands with Ryan at after parties and act like they were an item, but she knew full well he had a real-life girlfriend. So the model says she even met Jennifer at an award show while she was dating Ryan, claiming she gave her an awkwardly firm handshake and an intimidating once-over. Something Melanie says was disappointing, because at the time she viewed J.Lo as a hero. Melanie also pointed out when Ellen DeGeneres directly asked on her show, "Doesn't he have a girlfriend?" J.Lo played dumb, claiming she didn't know. J.Lo faced backlash after revealing she was unhappy about sharing the stage with fellow artist Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl. The duo took the stage by storm at the iconic annual halftime show, with their history-making performance attracting tons of praise from fans and celebrities worldwide. But it turns out that despite the evident success of the joint performance, J.Lo wasn't too pleased with the NFL's decision to have her and Shakira take the stage together, admitting in a Netflix documentary, Halftime, that she thought it was the worst idea in the world. Shortly after J.Lo's comments began surfacing online, fans called her out for her entitled attitude, arguing that regardless of the time constraints, the duo still put on a pretty iconic show. And finally for today, J.Lo says that the craziest rumor she's ever heard about herself was that she was born as a small Guatemalan man. Yeah, so she once recalled the story in an interview. "I've never said this, but one time a makeup artist brought this article that he found, and the article was about how I was actually a small Guatemalan man and how I transformed myself into J.Lo. And it had like a detailed description of the surgeries I went through, including something to make myself taller, the whole wig, and painfully putting each hair in. It was crazy. It was bizarre."